She faced Hollywood's toughest critics, yet Keke Palmer became unstoppable. But what I'm about to tell you about Keke Palmer was never meant to be public. Information so closely guarded that industry insiders have spent years ensuring it stays buried in the shadows of Hollywood's darkest corners. Between you and me, the Keke Palmer you think you know. That's just the carefully crafted image they wanted you to see. My industry source, someone who's worked directly with Palmer for over a decade, revealed to me that behind the dazzling smile and infectious laugh lies a story of survival that would make even the most hardened Hollywood veteran break down. They don't want this getting out, but Keke Palmer's journey through the entertainment industry wasn't just challenging, it was nearly devastating. The truth finally exposed after all these years will make you question everything you thought you knew about one of Hollywood's most resilient stars. Before I continue, you should know that what I'm about to share changes everything about how we view child stars, Hollywood power dynamics, and the real cost of fame. The tabloids don't know half of what actually happened behind closed doors. When Lauren Kiana Palmer was just 9 years old, she faced her first brutal rejection in the industry. What most people don't know is that before her breakthrough, she was turned down for 12 consecutive roles. My source tells me that young Keke would cry herself to sleep, believing she wasn't pretty enough or talented enough for Hollywood. But that rejection, it was actually orchestrated by powerful industry players who saw too much raw talent they couldn't control. Between auditions, a preteen Palmer was already developing the thick skin that would later become her superpower. While other kids were enjoying normal childhoods, she was being told to change everything about herself, her appearance, her voice, even the way she laughed. One casting director, whose name I can't reveal for legal reasons, told her she was too black for mainstream roles but not black enough for specific typecasts. This devastating contradiction followed her for years. But here's where it gets truly shocking. At just 12 years old, after landing her role in Aquila and the Bee, Keke wasn't celebrated by her peers, she was ostracized. What the public never saw was how she was forced to grow up virtually alone, isolated by both jealous classmates and suspicious adult co-stars. My source confirms that Palmer kept a journal during this time, documenting instances of sabotage so severe that pages were later destroyed by her management team to protect certain Hollywood names. And that's nothing compared to what happened next. By 16, when most teenagers are worrying about prom dates, Keke was secretly fighting a battle against an industry that was simultaneously exploiting her talent while attempting to dim her light. The truth: 3 major production companies blacklisted her after she refused to accept roles that perpetuated harmful stereotypes. This information has been kept under tight wraps until now. A high-level executive, who has requested complete anonymity, told me that Palmer was once offered a 7-figure deal for a major franchise, only to have it mysteriously withdrawn when she suggested script changes to make her character more empowering for young black girls. The same executive admitted that this practice was common for young stars who didn't know their place. Palmer's resilience during this period wasn't just impressive, it was almost supernatural. While the public saw a rising star, behind the scenes she was fighting daily battles that would have crushed most adults, let alone a teenager carrying the weight of representation on her shoulders. My source revealed that during the filming of True Jackson, VP, Keke was working through a personal crisis so severe that crew members would find her having panic attacks in her dressing room. Yet the moment cameras rolled, she transformed into the character without missing a beat. This duality became her survival mechanism, perfect composure in public, private devastation behind closed doors. What they've been hiding all these years is that Palmer's cheerful demeanor was partially a calculated defense mechanism, developed after being told repeatedly that difficult black actresses don't work in Hollywood. The smile that made her famous was sometimes a mask concealing unimaginable pressure. By her early 20s, Palmer had already experienced a lifetime of industry trauma. The transition from child star to adult actress, a journey that has destroyed countless careers, presented a new set of challenges that would have ended most careers. But Keke had already developed something her peers hadn't, an unshakable sense of self. Here's where the story takes an even more surprising turn. In 2013, when Palmer was transitioning to more adult roles, she was secretly battling health issues that would have sidelined most performers. My industry contact confirms that during this period, she was working 18-hour days while dealing with anxiety so severe that she sometimes couldn't feel her extremities. Medical professionals warned her to slow down, but Palmer knew that in Hollywood, especially for young black women, momentum lost is often never regained. The truth about her music career. Even more heartbreaking. What few people realize is that Palmer's musical ambitions were repeatedly sabotaged by her own record label. Songs she wrote herself were shelved in favor of tracks that executives deemed more marketable. In one particularly cruel meeting, a label head played her song alongside one from another artist and asked, "Which one sounds like a star?" The psychological warfare was relentless. Between you and me, this pattern of undermining talented young black performers isn't unique to Palmer, but her response to it was. While many of her contemporaries either conformed or disappeared, Keke developed a strategy of pivoting so rapidly between projects and platforms that no single gatekeeper could control her career trajectory. By 2016, Palmer had quietly begun building something revolutionary, a career that didn't depend on Hollywood's traditional power structures. My source tells me that during this period, Palmer was turning down roles that would have made her millions because they came with strings attached that would limit her creative freedom. Instead, she was meticulously planning a multi-platform approach that would later become her signature. But that's nothing compared to the industry betrayal that nearly ended everything. In 2018, Palmer discovered that someone in her inner circle, someone she trusted implicitly, had been secretly undermining her career opportunities while pretending to support her. This person, whose identity my source wouldn't reveal, had been spreading rumors about Palmer being difficult and unreliable to potential collaborators. When Keke discovered this betrayal, the confrontation that followed was so explosive that security was called to the building. What the tabloids don't know is that this betrayal sent Palmer into a period of deep depression, a time when she questioned everything about her career and her ability to trust anyone in the industry. For nearly 3 months, she withdrew from public life, considering walking away from entertainment altogether. The world saw a brief break from social media, but behind that simple announcement was a woman at her breaking point. They don't want this getting out, but during this dark period, Palmer received an unexpected lifeline from an industry veteran who had faced similar challenges. This mentor, whose identity I'm told would shock you, shared strategies for navigating Hollywood's treacherous politics without losing your soul in the process. This relationship, completely hidden from the public eye, became the turning point in Palmer's approach to her career. By 2020, as the pandemic upended the entertainment industry, Palmer had already built something most of her peers hadn't, a diversified career that could weather any storm. When film and TV production halted, she pivoted to digital content creation, revealing yet another facet of her talent. What looked like a natural evolution to the public was actually a carefully orchestrated contingency plan years in the making. My industry source revealed to me that Palmer had been preparing for a major industry disruption since 2016, sensing that traditional entertainment models were becoming increasingly unstable. While other performers panicked as projects shut down, Palmer simply activated the next phase of her strategy, a move so prescient that several major agencies have since studied her approach as a case study in career longevity. The truth finally exposed is that Palmer's apparent overnight success on social media during the pandemic was the result of years of careful study and preparation. She had been analyzing platform algorithms, content trends, and audience engagement patterns long before most mainstream celebrities even considered digital spaces worthy of their attention. But here's where Keke Palmer's story truly separates from every other Hollywood narrative. In 2021, when Palmer announced her pregnancy, industry insiders predicted it would derail her career momentum, the same fate that has befallen countless female performers who chose motherhood. What they didn't anticipate was how thoroughly Palmer had already reconstructed the rules of engagement. Between you and me, becoming a mother wasn't just a personal choice for Palmer. It was a declaration of independence from an industry that has historically punished women for having families. My source tells me that in the weeks after her pregnancy announcement, Palmer received several calls from projects attempting to quietly replace her, assuming she would prioritize motherhood over work commitments. Their shock when she maintained her professional schedule while preparing for motherhood revealed just how deeply entrenched these prejudices remain in Hollywood. The birth of her son Leo wasn't just a new chapter in Palmer's personal life. It was a revolutionary act in an industry that still struggles with seeing women, particularly Black women, as both mothers and vibrant creative forces. What the public doesn't see is how Palmer has restructured her entire working methodology to ensure that motherhood enhances rather than limits her creative expression. They don't want this getting out, but Palmer's approach to balancing motherhood and career has become something of an underground blueprint for other performers. Several A-list actresses have reportedly sought her advice on navigating the transition without sacrificing career momentum, a testament to how thoroughly she's rewritten the rules. And that's nothing compared to what happened next. In 2023, when Palmer seemingly reached new heights of success, she was simultaneously fighting her most private battle yet. My industry contact reveals that during what appeared to be her most triumphant professional period, Palmer was dealing with a situation so challenging that she considered stepping away from public life entirely. The details of this struggle remain closely guarded, but what's clear is that the smiling, energetic Keke Palmer seen promoting projects during this period was demonstrating a level of professional composure that defies comprehension. Between you and me, the most powerful people in Hollywood aren't the ones you see collecting awards. They're the ones who can maintain complete control of their narrative while navigating personal earthquakes. By this measure, Palmer has quietly become one of the most powerful forces in the industry, not through traditional channels of authority, but through a masterclass in resilience that has earned her the genuine respect of even her harshest critics. What the tabloids don't know is that Palmer's current success isn't just impressive, it's nearly miraculous considering the obstacles that were placed in her path. For every opportunity the public has seen her receive, My source confirms there were dozens that were mysteriously withdrawn, sabotaged, or undermined by industry forces, threatened by her unwillingness to compromise her values. The truth about Keke Palmer's Hollywood journey isn't just a story of personal triumph. It's evidence of a shifting power dynamic in an industry desperate to maintain its traditional gatekeeping functions. Her rise represents something far more significant than individual success. It signals the emergence of a new model of celebrity, one built on authentic connection rather than manufactured image. Now that you know the truth, here's what happens next. Palmer's trajectory isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary. My industry source tells me that her next moves will challenge Hollywood conventions in ways that will force the entire industry to reconsider how stars are made, sustained, and valued. The projects she currently has in development, most still under strict NDAs, apparently represent a complete reimagining of how stories are told and who gets to tell them. Between you and me, the next phase of Palmer's career will make everything that came before look like mere preparation. The foundations she's been quietly building, while the public focused on her visible successes, are apparently so innovative that several major studios have already begun restructuring their development processes in anticipation of the shift she's about to lead. But here's the most shocking revelation of all. Despite everything she's accomplished, despite rewriting the rules of an industry designed to control rather than empower, Keke Palmer believes she's only just beginning. My source tells me that Palmer keeps a private list of industry impossibilities she intends to disprove, achievements deemed unattainable for someone with her background, gender, and race. The first items on that list have already been quietly checked off, with the remaining goals apparently so ambitious that even discussing them openly would invite unprecedented resistance. They don't want this getting out, but Palmer's ultimate vision extends far beyond personal success. The infrastructure she's been methodically building is apparently designed to create pathways for other performers who don't fit Hollywood's traditional mold, a system designed to bypass the very gatekeepers who once tried to limit her own potential. What will happen when this parallel system fully emerges? How will the industry respond when they realize that what appeared to be the rise of one unstoppable talent was actually the birth of an entirely new power structure? And what does this mean for the future of entertainment itself? The answers to these questions are still unfolding. But one thing is clear: the Keke Palmer story we thought we knew was merely the visible surface of a much deeper, more revolutionary narrative, one that continues to evolve behind the carefully maintained facade of Hollywood's business-as-usual appearance. The question isn't whether Keke Palmer will change Hollywood. She already has. The real question is whether Hollywood is ready for just how thoroughly that change will reshape everything we thought we knew about power, potential, and possibility in the entertainment industry. Subscribe now to be the first to know what happens next in this unfolding revolution, because between you and me, what's coming will make everything you've heard today seem like just the beginning. Estimated duration: 9.5 minutes.